Welcome to lecture number 24. In today's class, we will be discussing about properties of DTFT. Properties of DTFT. By definition, we say if we wish to compute the frequency spectrum of a discrete time signal, then we use this equation k from minus infinity to infinity. Now if it is k, then what we have to write? X of k z to the power बाबा ॿियो कंहिंखे शो थिए पई?
जी सर असां वटि शो
नेटवर्क इशू
स्क्रीन जो मसलो ठीकु आहे, सही आहे. x of omega is equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity x of n e to the power minus j n omega, right? And if we have already known the frequency spectrum of discrete time signal, and if we wish to compute x of n, then we use this equation, integration from integration over 2 pi, right? Because we know that now the spectrum of discrete time signal is always periodic, j n omega d omega, right? Okay, so let's start with the properties. The first property is that spectrum computed is always periodic, right? So x of omega is periodic, right? We have calculated its we proved it in last class, but let's see again. For example, x of omega by definition is n from minus infinity to infinity x of n e to the power minus j n omega, right? Now if we shift omega with 2 pi, then what we get? X of omega 2 pi is equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity x of n e to the power minus j n. Now omega is shifted with omega plus 2 pi, right? Then by solving it further, we get x of n from minus infinity to infinity minus j n omega times e to the power minus j n 2 pi. बाबा माइक के बंद कर छो. Okay, and now we know that this expression is always equal to 1 because 2 pi is multiplied each time. If n is 1, 2, 3 or any value, then we get cos 2 pi, right? Or cos 4 pi or cos 6 pi. In this way, this exponent is always 1. So what we end up is n from minus infinity to infinity x of n e to the power minus j n omega, right? Omega plus 2 pi, right? Now if you see this equation is very similar to x of omega, right? So our x of omega is equal to x of omega plus 2 pi, and now we know that this is the time period for, or we can say the periodicity time, right? Our spectrum is periodic with respect to 2 pi. After each 2 pi, the frequency spectrum must repeat its values. So the first property and of the discrete time Fourier transform DTFT is periodicity, right? There is difference. I must elaborate here. DTFT and DFT are two different transforms, right? We cannot say this particular transform which we are discussing is DFT because the DFT has spectrum also sampled, right? In DTFT we have at omega axis we have a continuous spectrum with periodic with respect to 2 pi, but when we discuss this DTFT, its spectrum is also sampled, right? So this is difference between both of these transforms, right? So we cannot call this particular transform which we are discussing today is DFT, instead it is DTFT, right? Okay, so the second property is linearity. And what does linearity states? For example, if we have one signal x of n, and if its frequency spectrum is x1 of omega, and we have another signal x2 of n, and if its spectrum is also known as x2 of omega, then if you add those signal x3 of n, for example, is equal to x1 of n plus x2 of n, then you don't need to compute the separate transform for them, because the spectrum of this signal is known, the spectrum of this signal is known. For example, they are
Sir.
multiplied with some, and if we know the spectrum of another signal, then if you sum them up, then you don't need to find the transform separately, right? All you need is just to add those spectrum and multiply those spectrum with associated coefficients. Okay, the third property is conjugate property, right? For example, if we know that for example, if x of n has x of omega spectrum, then x of omega by definition is equal to n from minus infinity to infinity x of n e to the power minus j n omega, right? Then if you conjugate on both sides, then this must be equal to n from minus infinity to infinity x of n. Now conjugate on both sides, then let me write it step by step, right? We conjugate on both sides. Now x of omega conjugate is equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity x of n conjugate e to the power j n omega, right? Now for suppose if we put omega equal to minus omega, or you can assume any dummy variable, for example phi, then what we end up with is x of minus phi conjugate is equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity conjugate e to the power minus jn omega. Now we can see that if we have x of n and if its frequency spectrum is x of omega, then the conjugate signal x of n has frequency spectrum x of minus omega conjugate, right? So this is called conjugate symmetry. The fourth property is in the list is time shifting. Time shifting. So for example, if we have signal by definition x of n is equal to, we know that this must be equal to 1 over 2 pi x of omega e to the power positive j n omega d omega over interval 2 pi, right? For example, if we shift the signal in other signal n minus n naught, for example, then what we end up is 1 over 2 pi x of omega e to the power j omega n minus n naught d omega, right? Now if we further solve it, this must be equal to e to the power j omega n times e to the power minus j omega n naught, right? So this must be equal to 1 over 2 pi e to the power minus j n omega naught x of omega e to the power j n omega d omega, right? Now if you see, for example, this is x of n minus n naught. Now if you see that if we have a time domain signal x of n, its associated transform is this signal, right, x of omega. But if it is shifted by n naught, then you can see the associated spectrum is e to the power minus j n omega naught. So in short, we can say if we have x of n signal and its dt of t is x of omega, then if you shift this signal by n naught, then that must arrive as a frequency shift e to the power j omega naught n x of omega, right? So time shifting. Let me use another whiteboard, otherwise it keeps on hanging. The sixth property is frequency shift. What if we shift the frequency? We saw the time shift. Frequency shift, for example. We say, for example, if we have a signal x of n, which is equal to 1 over 2 pi, by definition we know now, x of omega e to the power j n omega d omega. If we multiply both sides by e to the power some frequency shift e to the power some frequency shift, then what we end up is this must be equal to 1 over 2 pi x of omega. Now these value must be added, so this must be equal to jn omega plus omega naught d omega, right? And we know this is not the equation for dtft. We have to somehow convert it to the dtft. Then what we can do is, let's assume omega equal to omega plus omega naught. Then what we get as a result, 1 over 2 pi x of omega minus omega naught e to the power jn omega d omega, right? Now this form is of dtft. Then we can see when we had x of n, when we had only x of n, the frequency spectrum was x of omega, right? If we had a signal x of n, its frequency spectrum was x of omega. When we multiply any frequency component in time domain, that produces shift in frequency domain, right? Okay. Now another property that is called convolution property, and that property is property number 7. This property is same as we discussed in continuous time Fourier transform, right? Convolution. And what does convolution? It states that if you have a signal, for example, y of n, which is convolution of two signal x of n times h of n, right? And if you know the Fourier transform of x of n, for example, is x omega, and if you know the Fourier transform of h of n, which is, for example, h of omega, and if you convolve them in time domain, that must be those signals must be multiplied in frequency domain, right? So y of j omega, if you convolve them in time domain, the result must be in frequency domain, the spectrum of both signals must be multiplied, right? How? By definition, for example, y of n is equal to, if I write summation, for example, the definition of convolution, what does that mean? That means y of n is equal to n from minus infinity to infinity, x of n, h of, for example, from k, that are two differential intermediate variables, for example, then k from minus infinity to infinity, x of k h of n minus k, right? So by definition, convolution is written in this form, right? That must be equal to x of n convolution with h of n. So we can write either in this way or in summation form. For example, if we wish to compute y of j omega, then that must be equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity y of n e to the power minus j n omega, right? And now we know that y of n is equal to this summation, so we can rewrite this equation as n from minus infinity to infinity, then another summation k from minus infinity to infinity, x of k h of n minus k, right? This complete term is y of n, right, times this expression, right? Okay, now if you see, if we interchange the summation, can we write this as k from minus infinity to infinity, x of k summation n from minus infinity to infinity, h of n minus k e to the power minus n omega, because this summation only sums k's values, right? So no n is involved in x of k, so we took this outside, and we just in this summation all variables which are related to n pi are available here. Okay, so what does this look like? For example, if we calculate h of omega, if you remember, h of omega must be equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity, h of n e to the power minus j n omega, right? And what if we give shift on both sides of minus j omega naught k, for example, here, and minus j omega naught k here, then what we end up is this must be equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity x h of n e to the power minus j n omega plus omega naught, right? Sorry, one thing I have made a mistake here, that this shift is in time domain, e to the power j omega k, and here is also e to the power minus j omega k, and then we end up here with, I want to rewrite this whole expression. This must be equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity h of n e to the power minus j omega n plus k, right? Now let's assume that our n is equal to n plus k, then what we end up with is x of h of n minus k e to the power j n omega, right? N from minus infinity to infinity. If now if you see here that this complete term is now equal to what? Now can we write this whole complete term as this term e to the power minus j omega k h of omega? Then if we, because this is the, these terms are equivalent, so if we replace this, if you see this term and this term are exactly same, so what we can write now is rewriting this summation as k from minus infinity to infinity x of k e to the power minus j omega k times h of omega, right? Now if you see, this is the Fourier transform for discrete time Fourier transform for x of omega, then this must be equal to x of omega, and this signal is multiplied with h of omega. So we started with, sorry, this is not small omega, because small omega we have already used for continuous time signal. So in order to make difference, this must equal to capital omega, and capital omega, remember, is equal to wt, right? where this is actual frequency and this is sampling interval. So y of omega is equal to x of omega multiply with h of omega. See, we started from calculation of y of omega by definition of convolution, and we end up it in frequency domain by multiplication of both signal. This is very important property for analyzing the LTI systems. We will see as we progress in the course. Okay, now the another property that is called difference property. Should I write it on another whiteboard, because sometimes it hangs. For example, now if you remember, in continuous time system we had differentiation property, right? Differentiation property, and that said, for example, if we have x of t, its continuous time Fourier transform is x of j omega, then d by dt of that x of t must be equal to j omega time x of j omega. But in discrete time systems, because we cannot use differentiation, so instead of differentiation we have property that is called differencing, not differentiation, right? And what does that say? It says that, for example, if we have x of n, a signal with Fourier transform x of omega, right, then their first difference, that means x of n minus x of minus 1, only difference, right, difference between two samples, that must be equal to, let's see what does this mean, that is equals to. For example, we know that x of n is equal to 1 over 2 pi x of n e to the x of omega, sorry, e to the power j n omega d omega. Then what must x of n minus 1 be? 1 over 2 pi integral over 2 pi x of omega e to the power j, now this n must be n minus 1 omega, right, d omega. Then this must be equal to 1 over 2 pi integral over 2 pi x of omega times e to the power. Now if you solve this exponent, this must be equal to e to the power j n omega times e to the power minus j omega, right? So this must be equal to plus j n omega d omega times e to the power minus j omega, right? So we can say the Fourier transform or discrete Fourier transform of x of n, if it is x of omega, then Fourier transform of x of n minus 1 omega must be e to the power minus j omega x of omega, right? So then if you find difference x of n minus x of n minus 1, then this must be equal to linearity property x of omega minus this term e to the power minus j omega. Oh my god, I made a mess. This is for continuous time, this is for discrete time, right? X of omega. Now this must be equal to, if I take x omega is common, then this must be equal to 1 e to the power minus omega, right? So in short, we say in difference property, for example, if we have x of n, if its Fourier transform is x of omega, then its first difference must be equal to x of omega times 1 minus e to the power j omega, right? This must be taken carefully. Okay, now let's talk an important property, then we will see other properties. That is multiplication or modulation properties, property number 12. We'll cover all properties, but I want to cover most important properties earlier. Modulation or multiplication property, right? For example, if we have a signal g of n, for example, that is multiplication of two signal x of n multiply by x2 of n in time domain, right? These signals are multiplied in time domain, and that is equal to g of n. Then if you compute the frequency spectrum, in frequency spectrum these two signals must be convolved with each other, so their spectrum must be convolved. We discussed in continuous time Fourier transform as well, that if we multiply two signals in time domain, their associated spectrum are convolved. If we convolve two signals in time domain, then their associated spectrum are multiplied. So how to accomplish it? For example, by definition, if we compute g of omega, that must be equal to n from minus infinity to infinity, g of n e to the power minus j n omega, right? This is the formula, and now we know that this is equal to multiplication of two signals, and those signals are n from minus infinity to infinity, x1 of n and x2 of n, right? E to the power minus j n omega, right? Now this signal can be written as x2 of n from minus infinity to infinity, x of omega e to the power j n omega d omega, right? Because this is the spectrum. If we wish to compute x of n, then its value is this integral, right? If we replace this here, then what we get? Summation n from minus infinity to infinity x1 of n, now integral 1 over 2 pi x2 of omega e to the power minus j n omega d omega times e to the power minus j n omega. Sorry, if we have already used omega, then we have to change this sign. For example, I use phi instead of this omega, because we cannot use same symbol for two signals. So for example, this is minus j phi n d phi. Okay, now if base are same, these exponents can be multiplied. We can write n from minus infinity to infinity x1 of n 1 over 2 pi integral 2 pi x of phi e to the power minus j. This is positive, because when we wish to compute time domain signal from frequency domain, this exponent is always positive, and if we compute frequency spectrum, then this exponent is always negative. So this is positive. If I say minus j, then omega minus phi, right, d phi. Now you know this summation is revolving around n variable, right? N from minus infinity to infinity. So we got n here and we got n here. So if we and this integral is only with respect to phi. So if we interchange these integrals and summation, so if I write 1 over 2 pi x2 of phi and then summation n from minus infinity to infinity x1 of n e to the power minus j n phi d phi, right? Isn't it equal to x1 of phi minus capital phi? If we say x1 of phi is equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity x1 of n e to the power minus j n omega, right? For example, now what if we replace this phi with omega with omega minus phi, then what we get is x of 1 is equal to omega minus phi is equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity x1 of n e to the power minus j n omega minus phi, right? And you can see this same expression is available here. This d phi is multiplied. So can we write it as 1 over 2 pi integral of x of x2 of phi times x1 of omega minus phi d phi, right? So this integral is something similar. If you remember, y of t is equal to integral from minus infinity to infinity, but now because this integral is with periodic to 2 pi, so the limits are 2 pi. Y of t used to be x of tau h of t minus tau d tau, right? So if you can see, this same integral is available here. So we can write that this must be equal to x2 of omega convolution with x1 of omega. And because the convolution is commutative, so we can write x1 of omega convolve with x2 of omega, or x2 of omega convolution with x1 of omega, does not matter, right? So this is multiplication property or modulation property. Like in continuous time signals, we saw some examples. We will also see some example of this modulation property as well. We will see how this helps to solve complex problems which are very difficult to multiply in time domain, that can be easily done in frequency domain, right? So another property is time scaling property. This property is also very important and requires undivided attention. Time scaling, right? In continuous time systems, in continuous time Fourier transform, what we said is, for example, if we have x of t, and if its continuous time Fourier transform is x of omega, for example, then for example if we have x of at, its associated spectrum was 1 over absolute of a x of omega over a, right? What about in discrete time? For example, if we have signal x of n, and x of n is defined as, for example, at 0 index its value is for example something, and at 1 index its value is something else, and for variety at 2 index its value is negative, for example. Now if we compute x2 of n, then what we get is, for example, at 0 we get same value, right? And for 1 we get x of 2, and x of 2 is at 2 it is negative. So this particular information is lost, right? So we cannot do directly like this thing is done, right? If we do compression or expansion in this style, then we may lose some of the information, necessary information, which we don't want to lose, right? So we cannot do that. Instead we use an other technique, that is, we define a signal. For example, we say x k of n, that is equal to x of n by k, and n is multiple of k. N is multiple of k, 0 otherwise. So what does this mean? For example, if we have a signal x of n, at 0th sample it has some value. For example, we can assume any value, right? At 0, at 1 this signal is, for example, this signal is 2 and this is 1. At second index it is, for example, negative, right? Now for example, for if we wish to compute x3 of n, this k is x3, right? So means this must be equal to xn by 3, right? Now if we wish to plot this signal, what does it look like? For example, first if n is 0, then we get 0 divided by 3 is x of 0. On x of 0 our signal was 2, for example, right? When n is 1, then 1 divided by 3. Can we define a discrete time signal at 0.3? Because our discrete time signals always exist on integer value. This is not an integer value. So at 1 this signal is 0. At 2 this must be equal to 2 by 3, and at 2 by 3 again our signal is not defined. So at first index it's 0, at second index it is 0. What about third index? At third index, when we put n equal to 3, then we got 3 by 3, then x of 1. So at third index we got the value x of 1 here, right? Now at 4, 4 by 3 is again 0, 5 by 3 is again 0. At 6, 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this simple is. Now you can see that this signal is stretched, right? Our original signal is stretched in this way. So what we call this signal is, this is an upsampler, right? It has many properties we will discuss in future classes. This is an upsampler, right? Now if you look its associated frequency transform, frequency response, and for example, if we had original signal at 0, it has value of x of 0. At 1 it has value of x of 1, and at 2 it has value of x of 2, right? But now when we have stretched this signal, then at 0 we have value of x of 0 at omega axis, 1, 2, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2, and now on 3 we have x of 1, and then 4 and 5 are empty, and at 6 we have x of 2. Now if you can see, if this is x of omega, then this spectrum is x of 3 omega, right? So our spectrum is also stretched. In other terms, we can say x3 of omega is now equal to x of 0 DC component plus x of 1 e to the power minus j3 omega. I am talking in this particular case, because other terms if I write because the another sample exists only on when omega is equal to 3, right? Plus x2 e to the power minus j6 omega. And what about this? If I write x of omega, this must be equal to x of 0 plus x of 1 e to the power minus j omega plus x of 2 e to the power minus j2 omega. You can see the difference. This signal is multiplied every time, its frequency is multiplied by 3. So the frequency spectrum is also straight, right? This is means the property of upsampler is, if you stretch it in time domain, then its associated spectrum must also be stretched, right? Now for example, now we have another relation that is called Parseval relation. Right? If you remember, we said in time domain, for example, if we have a signal x of t, right, its frequency spectrum is equal to What was its frequency spectrum? 1 over 2 pi x of, for example, j omega, right? By definition, for example, if we wish to compute the energy of a signal, that is equal to absolute of x square dt, right, from minus infinity to infinity. If it's energy bounded, then the spectrum must be equal to this value, right? So we said, if for example, if a signal is bounded, then its associated spectrum the energy contained in the frequency spectrum must not be lost, and this is in hertz, because this omega is d with respect to d omega, right? And any value divided by 2 pi is, this value is in radian, right? But if you divide it any radian value with 2 pi, then you get a signal in degrees, right? So this is computed in hertz, and if you square it, if you compute energy, then this is called energy density function. How much energy is contained over one time period in frequency, right? Energy density function, right? Now what about frequency? If this summation, because integral is only for continuous time signal, and its counterpart is summation in discrete time system. If a signal is energy bounded, for example, right, then its associated spectrum must be equal to x of omega d omega. Where is e to the power minus j omega? Because that information is of phase, so we are only concerned with magnitude, right? So the magnitude is sufficient for computing the energy, right? But what if we have a power signal? This is energy bounded signal, right? This is a energy bounded signal, and if it is a power signal, that means if it exists from minus infinity to infinity, then what we compute is its average power, and average power by definition is equal to this value, right? And that information is available in AK coefficients, right, over one time interval. This is the Parseval relation for discrete time signals, right? We say if a signal is energy bounded, its energy is can be computed over one time interval in frequency, because after one interval the frequency response is repeated, right? But if it's a periodic signal, periodic signals have infinite energy, as we know, right? Periodic signals has infinite energy because they exist from minus infinity to infinity. So in order to compute their average power, we divide this side by n, and this summation, this AK, sum of these AK coefficients over one time interval can give you the associated power available in the signal. Okay, so far we have discussed a few important properties. We are remained with summation of discrete time systems, like we have integration property in continuous time system, because these system defined only on certain intervals. So instead of integration, we will talk about summation in coming classes. So till now we are good to end it here. If anybody has any question, then he or she may ask.